daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Daily Manchester United. Familiar face, familiar story. Here we are, let's get it over with. I'm Kieran, I've got Tom with me today to unpack what was a pretty poor day, in all honesty. The football on the pitch wasn't great, apart from Brentford in the first half. The referees just like to do what they want. VAR likes to be a hero. Dogso doesn't exist, and pushing players over is fine. Tom, what did you make of the game?
Shockingly bad. We didn't look comfortable at all as a team, and I think we've only got ourselves to blame, really. I know VAR didn't exactly go the way, and I didn't like the long delay before the penalty was actually given. I actually thought it was a sending off for that last man challenge from Nathan Collins, really, on Brian Mbeumo. Why that wasn't upgraded to a red, I don't know. But that doesn't excuse the fact that it was a poor performance. It was a poor performance from minute one, and we never looked like a team that was in control. Brentford looked the more comfortable side. They looked like a side that had more fight in them. And I am worried as to what next weekend's going to bring before the international break. And after the international break, we've got Liverpool and Brighton, two bogey teams against us.
That should go down well, shouldn't it? I think I'm more annoyed because I'm undecided whether that's a push in the build-up play on Cunha. If it is, I don't know why it doesn't get overturned. But then it's Maguire who is caught in two minds. Peter Crouch was sort of explaining it on TNT Sports. He's caught in two minds as to whether to step up and trigger the offside trap or to stay with Thiago there to sort of cover him off. And because of that, it allows Thiago to then break the offside trap. He's completely in the clear. I mean, it's a wonderful finish for the first goal, don't get me wrong. Altai cannot get anywhere near that one. Not a chance. It's a great finish, but I can't help but think surely that would have, the push would have been looked at a little bit more. But hey, I guess pushing's okay now. We'll remember that for future matches.
And I couldn't agree more. I didn't think Bayern had a bad game, in all honesty, quite frankly. I thought he made us some good saves, particularly in the first half. But there was just not one player, really. I thought Cunha was a little bit too greedy on the ball at times, because there was another opportunity, I think it was in the 37th minute, where he had Bruno next to him to his right, when he should have played the ball to him instead of just trying a shot from 20 to 25 yards. So I think that's something that Cunha needs to be mindful going forward. We just didn't look great all day, Kieran. We didn't look like a team that had this grittiness about ourselves of that brilliant win against Chelsea last week. We can't win back-to-back games. We cannot win back-to-back games in any capacity. And this is on a reduced schedule for us. Why we can't string together a set of results is beyond me. And looking at those images of Ruben Amorim on the bench, he looks like a beaten man. He looks like a beaten man. He looked soulless. And I just don't get it with him. Why he cannot have this mentality of just getting behind his team, look like the strongest man in the ground, and actually galvanise that team going forward. He was sat on the bench like this because he couldn't bear to look when Bruno Fernandes was taking his penalty after that long delay. He's got to be that man that can rejuvenate the level of confidence in that team, particularly to Bruno Fernandes. Even if he just told him to come over to him and say, look, just remain calm and put the shot away. Don't change your mind about what you're going to do with this penalty. Even if he did that, I'd have had more respect for Amorim, because that's the part of the makings of a good manager. Right now, he looks like he's still got that soul back in Sporting Lisbon. I'm not bringing that over to Manchester United. He cannot win back-to-back games.
Yeah, everything you've said there is right on the money. As well as that, uncharacteristic from De Ligt to have quite a poor game by his standards. Maguire missing a header as well, not like him. Luke Shaw was the best centre-back on the pitch in terms of Manchester United's side, which is a bizarre sentence I didn't think I'd say 3 years ago. But here we are. I think Dorgo was okay. I thought he was, as always, trying to drive down the left-hand side. It's that final product from Dorgo, and it's still missing. And I want it to be there after 6 months. I think good to see Šeško, if there's any sort of good news, to see Šeško on the score sheet. Took 3 bites of the cherry, but he got it. He got the goal. But
he got the goal, Kieran, but you have to give credit to Mbeumo for distracting the goalkeeper really, and making the keeper come out for it and stopping from getting that crucial hand on it. And then Sesko had like those 3 bites of the cherry, as you've rightly mentioned. But that was little consolation. Okay, great. Sesko's got his goal now for Manchester United, so people can shut up for a bit about when is Sesko going to finally break his duck for Manchester United. Well, he's got his goal today.
yay.
I'm seeing this, the penalty that was given, Kieran. I'm absolutely astonished. And there's just a tweet coming through saying the referee's call of penalty was checked and confirmed by VAR, with Collins deemed to pull Mbeumo back. VAR also checked the referee's call of yellow card to Collins and deemed that Mbeumo wasn't in control of the ball. I mean, I don't agree with that at all. Because he did look like he was going to get on the end of it, and Nathan Collins pulled him back. That's a denial of a goal-scoring opportunity. It's a red card all day long.
So by that strain, wasn't Mbeumo in control of the ball when he came up against Sanchez?
Well, it's a denial of a decent shot on goal, Kieran.
It's true, yeah.
It gets a touch on it, even though the shot itself wouldn't have been the best of shots. It still would be enough for it to go in the net. If you put it in the corner, it would have been past Kelleher all day long.
And not only, and in the penalty as well, no matter what the delay, any world-class player, any player who wants to be considered world-class, has no issue with how long the delay is. And as you've already mentioned, it took a 4-minute delay, and then Brentford were allowed to make a triple substitution. I'm pretty sure the triple substitution part, perfectly fine in the game. It is pure, as Sam would say, I'm not going to say it on this podcast, but it's mindfulness, it's gamemanship, which you have to rate at any point. But it took 4 minutes to review the penalty, to confirm that it was a penalty, to review Dogso, denial of a goal-scoring opportunity, to then say it's only a yellow. So it took 4 minutes to confirm the on-field decision of it's a penalty and it's a yellow card. So what was the point? Surely if you're checking for Dogso, that is, you see that banner along the top, potential red card check. What does that normally mean? Oh, the ref's going to get sent to the monitor and it's a red card. So
he should have been sent to the monitor, Kieran. That's what they didn't do with him.
Yeah.
It would have been even quicker as well than having that long delay. Just tell the referee to go check it on the monitor, because that's what it's there for. If you're going to use VAR, then use it properly and use it consistently.
See, because obviously we've had discussion about VAR, and I've been pretty disappointed with how it was used today. But TMO in rugby has got the right idea. It's working with the ref. If the ref says, I need to look at this, put it on the big screen for us all to see, let's talk about it. I wouldn't mind that. But I think the one thing rugby has over football is that you can stop the clock in rugby. The clock stops. If the referee needs to make a decision, if he needs to walk through, with TMO, with his assistants and say, right, I need a really good look at this. Let's decide together. If it takes 2 minutes, if it takes 5 minutes, the clock has stopped. So we can take as long as we like. But football, clock keeps running. Now, obviously, that is the incentive to make a quick decision. And if it was the correct decision, which I don't agree that it was only a yellow. If it was the correct decision and you're backing the referee, why is it taking 4 minutes to do that? That's the bit I don't understand. Bruno shouldn't be missing penalties. It just shouldn't.
That's 2 he's missed this season.
Yeah, Keller has saved 3 of his last 5, hasn't he, as well, when he was a Liverpool player. So, but he shouldn't be missing penalties. Player on those wages, leading the side, someone else has got to take the penalties now, and I couldn't tell you who that would be. But there we go.
Just give it to Sesko.
Give it to Sesko to the end of the season. He'll do it. Give it to Amorim. I'd love to see Amorim take a penalty.
Yeah. or even give it to Altai Bayindir.
Yes. Now you're cooking.
Yeah,
now you're cooking. Oh dear. Right.
That's based with the new. Is it Chalevert? Do you remember on Pro Evolution Soccer where the Paraguayan goalkeeper, he used to take the free kicks and the penalties for both his national side and whichever club it was he was playing for.
Chilavert, and you had on the Brazilian side, Managerial.
Chilavert. Yeah, Chilavert. I said Chilavert, but the only reason I said Chilavert was because some teams, or Pro Evo, or whoever it was that designed the games, I think it was Kanani that designed the games at the time, they didn't have the license for every single nation to have the players' names included in the game itself. And that's why I said Shaliver and not Shiliver, as what I should have said. Yeah, maybe we need a goalkeeper that can take the free kicks and penalties now. What can go wrong?
Absolutely. I'm with Tom. Get Binder on the penalties. When we come back, more about that crazy decision and more about maybe some of the lineups. And, well, we're having this conversation again about where do we go from here. Back after this.
Your daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.
Your body is unique, and Global Sports Podcast Network has partnered with Bionic, the world's most personalised supplements. Bionic provide 100% tailor-made supplements designed to deliver precisely what your body needs at exactly the right levels to optimise your health. No guessing. So click the link in the show notes. Use the code GSPN2025 for 40% off your first month's subscription. Bionic. Don't settle for off-the-shelf solutions made for just anybody. Get what's right for you right now.
Your daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.
So before the game, we had obviously the preview episode, which went live slightly before the press conference from Amorim. In that press conference, he ruled out Mazraoui. He ruled out Ahmad for personal reasons. And he also, we already knew Casemiro was suspended for the game. So it kind of made sense that Ugarte came in. With Mazraoui out, it made sense that Dalot started on the right, coming back from injury. And that put Luke Shaw in that sort of centre-back role. Didn't start Yoro, bit confused about that. However, the question still remains that we've signed a goalkeeper and he hasn't started yet. Now, Binder, Altay can't really do anything about the first goal. It's past him before he even knows what's happening. And it's so well struck as well that hands up, not many keepers in the world are saving that one. The second goal, that's the one I want to have a look at. The cross that comes in and he palms it straight to Thiago, straight to him. What other team in the world is conceding a goal like that, where if you're not sure, bat it away, bat it behind for a corner? You know, there just seems to be just a real lack of conviction about what Altay wants to do in certain situations. And the fact that it's almost like he's being treated as a saint by Amorim, that nothing he can do would make him droppable. I mean, I think it was a couple of interviews ago where Amorim harked back and sort of bit back at the press in one of his press conferences to say, well, remember the Arsenal game? Yeah, but the Arsenal game was 10, 15 games ago. This is now. And Altay is not in good form and he's not the right keeper. He's not the first choice for Manchester United. We've signed a goalkeeper who has not made an appearance yet. So if Amorim's got this faith in Altay, what is Sen Lamon like? What has Amorim seen in Sen Lamon that he doesn't like, that he sees in Altay and says it's fine?
Has he actually watched Sen Lamon play anywhere? Because we've got to remember, he's actually a head coach of Manchester United. He's not even technically a manager. And there's a difference between being a manager and being a head coach. I think Lamon needs to start the next game because we need to see what he can do before those two big ones, in my point of view, Liverpool and Brighton. But whilst we may criticise the second goal on Binder's part, I criticised Luke Shaw for allowing Thiago to get goal side of him. Because Thiago was left unmarked, and I think Shaw should have dealt with him more than he did. And you said that Shaw was the best centre-back for us in that game, Kieran. I'm not 100% sure he was. Because he just allowed players to get into space, and he failed to deal with them when he needed to have done. Unless you got something to stand a leg on with that.
No, I was going to say that's the reason he was the best, because De Ligt was underperformed. You had Maguire who missed headers and just looked off the pace. Yoro came on and, you had that bit, you had the bit in our own box where De Ligt and Yoro going for the same ball. Yoro goes to clear it straight against a Brentford player. Luke Shaw was the best defender. And I thought it was De Ligt that was caught out with that second goal, where he lost Thiago there. That's sort of the reason why I thought Thiago underperformed. Now we got a brace, Kieran. De Ligt underperformed today, but below where his usual self is. We've been so high of praise for De Ligt. He's been one of our better defenders. Him and Lenny Yoro were have been great together. But Yoro starting on the bench, I can only think if there is, managing a knock of some kind, bring him on. But yeah, I still stand by it. Luke Shaw was probably the better of the four centre backs that we used today. And if we're still pointing out mistakes that Luke Shaw did, and I'm still going to say he was the best centre back on the United side today, what does that tell you?
Well, I'm not going to deny that most of the defenders underperformed, Kieran. I would agree with that. But as a team, we failed again. And there's no good performances from anyone. I mean, Sesko obviously got his goal, but he still didn't have the best of games either. Cunha didn't have a good game. And Burmo, I thought, tried to make things happen. He was probably the best forward out of who played. Xerxes was awful when he came on. I don't think he made the impacts, but he was brought on too late by Amorim. I think he needed to bring him on sooner. There's just too many players that just down-tooled, who looked totally inept. I don't know what lineup he's going to go for. If he goes with the same lineup against Sunderland, he probably won't do, because I expect Casemiro to be back for the next game and push Fernandes into the number 10 as you should be playing him, because he cannot thrive in that number 6 or in that box-to-box midfield role. I think it's the number 8, isn't it, that he'd be playing, as a box-to-box midfielder, because the defensive midfielder is more of a number 6. Changes have got to be made for the next game against Sunderland. We have to win. If we don't, we are in massive, massive trouble. And more pressure is going to be put on him. And I would say Ruben Amorim's about 3 or 4 more games away from being fired from his job. Because that performance from Amorim today, in terms of the way he conducted himself on the bench, is one of the most cowardly I've ever seen a Manchester United manager or a head coach do.
I mean, I don't like penalties at the best of times. That's why I'm behind a microphone. I can't take a penalty, but I'm expecting the club captain to take a penalty, and I'm expecting the backing of the manager to watch on. And if it goes wrong, okay, players miss penalties. It happens. But you're right. It's the manner of Amorim sitting on the bench, tucked away, because he did it against Grimsby as well. The whole shootout, he was there. I mean, you said about how this team needs confidence. It's more than that, I think. We need some talent in there as well. Because it's just time and time again, we're talking about, does the system work, and what's gone wrong, how do we improve, what changes do we need to make? Well, we had a whole summer where apparently we had no money but still spent $250 million, and we're still talking about that today. And Brentford, who are a side that we know, as since they've been in the Premier League, of course, they've been a well-run club. There was concerns about Thomas Frank leaving them. Also, we took Brian and Burma off them, but they had high-profile departures from Brentford this season, coming into this season. And Keith Andrews, who I believe was part of the backroom staff at Brentford, promoted to really his first managerial job. And already it's showing that, you put faith in a system, that works, and all of a sudden, it's almost like you've got a functioning football club at your disposal. But it just shows you Brentford's high pressing with Bruno deeper doesn't work for United. And, I've sort of said in the past as well, probably a couple of episodes ago, you can run it back, that I quite like Bruno as a deeper player. I think as he gets into his early 30s, it would make sense to drop him back, much like we did Rooney, even though Rooney was just utterly phenomenal up top. Point was, it makes sense to drop players deeper as they start to get older and as they start to get less physical in the game. If they can make an impact from deeper without having to constantly run up and down the field, then that makes sense. And especially if we have Cunha and Mbeumo, who are running in those sort of attacking midfield and half winger roles, it makes sense to drop Bruno further back. But Bruno needs to be stronger, and he needs to make the decisions quicker. We know he's got a good passing range in him, but all too often when he has an off day, the entire team has an off day. And for one player to have that much of a significant role in how the team performs is genuinely worrying.
Yeah, well, Bruno does need to be stronger in that box-to-box midfield role, but I stand by the fact that he still needs to be in that number 10, because, yes, whilst players are getting older and they tend to drop back in a deeper role compared to what they're used to, I think Bruno still needs to be in that number 10 position, Kieran, because that's what he is stronger at this moment in time, not where he's going to end up being in 4 or 5 years. It feels like players are getting younger in dropping into deeper roles year by year by year because of how the game is changing. Looking at the fixtures we've got Sunderland at home, Liverpool away, Brighton at home, Forest away, Spurs away, Everton at home. Spurs is the last one before the November international break. That could end up being Ruben Amorim's last game in charge, in my opinion.
Do you think United will pull the trigger, or before the winter?
There's got to be some stability in this team, Kieran. This is relegation form we're talking. If the trajectory continues as it is, what is it? 7 points from 6 games. What's that in total? So what's that? Did I say 7 wins in 6? So it's 7 points in 6. That's just over the 40-point barrier, isn't it?
Would just fall short of, wouldn't it? I would have said if that roughly averages out a point a game, just slightly over, then yeah, I suppose you could do 40. But the 40 points has been relegated before. I mean, we were very lucky to even get 40 points last season. But yeah, not great. Sorry, Tom, I'll let you finish your point there.
There's got to be a decision. They cannot just allow this to go on and on and on and on. Because if Amorim's not got what it takes in a season without European football at all, I'm starting to believe that European qualification was the bare minimum for Ruben Amorim. If he doesn't get that this season, someone else has got to take over it. I don't know who that will be, if they are looking for someone else. But something's got to give. Something has got to give. And whilst I don't like players advocating to get a manager out, I don't know if Ruben Amorim's already lost the dressing room. It wouldn't surprise me if he lost some of it. But further down the line, more and more players will start to turn on him if results don't start going his way. He's got to win the players over. He's got to win the fans over. He's got to win the journalists over. He's got to win the pundits over. I said this earlier in the season. He's got to win everyone over. And it feels like to me, by the way he's acting on the bench, he looks lost. He
looks done with it already, doesn't he? This is the thing. How many managers would sort of, during a penalty or during some part of the match, they're hunched over, sort of slouched over, almost as if they're sort of praying to the football gods that everything works out okay. It's weird. If it was winning games, you'd talk about a nonchalant style. You'd talk about he's a nonchalant manager. He just lets the players play. But you've got to work that in your favour. If it doesn't work, you've got to change. And Amorim, his reluctance to adapt to certain games, reference City game where the floated crosses kept coming in. Today, the crosses weren't working really. I think they were on the handful of occasions that Dorgu and Mbeumo put in crosses, they just didn't quite land. We're not as effective there. But then to go through the middle, well, all the width there is completely unused if we've then focused down the middle. What do you do then with Dorgu and with Dalot? Do you sort of make them sort of inverted, help out with the attack in the midfield? This system is set up to work one way, it seems, and one way only. And if it doesn't work, then there's no room to shuffle about. And if games are not going in your favour, sometimes you just need to do what's boring. What's boring is 1-0 wins, get defensively solid, do what you can to get the 3 points, do what you can to get the back-to-back wins. I feel like if there are back-to-back wins, if we can get some sort of, I wouldn't say motivation, but it's some sort of form together, some sort of consistency where we can pick up, 9 points in 3 games. Those were the days, weren't they?
Yeah.
But if we can get that sort of consistency there, if we have to sacrifice what this system is right now, so be it. You've got to, as a manager, you've got to be malleable. And you've got to realise if something's not working, I have to change this.
You've got to be versatile with what you use, and it isn't just formations, it's the system. How do you want your players to move around when you've got the ball and when you haven't? If you've only got one idea only, and you're not willing to change it, and it's not working, then you're basically screwed. You basically got no chance of salvaging anything with what you are using and what you are using it for the purposes of.
So I want to put this across to you as well, because we've got this system in place. We've had this system now for 2 transfer windows. The summer one just gone, a massive one where we brought in the likes of Cunha and Mbermo. Are the right players actually being signed? Is this a case of we don't still have the players for this system? I mean, you mentioned 2 games into this season that this team doesn't feel like it's ready. I've been looking at today. You're absolutely right.
And how long until we are actually ready? By Christmas or by New Year? Yeah, half of the season's gone already, mate. You should have been ready before the season started, considering you got no European football at all, and you're already out of the Carabao Cup, and you were out of it before September.
And we were in we were in that round because of how badly we did league-wise last season.
Exactly that. And now I am worried of where this club's going to end up. It's about finding a tune, Kieran, with the players that we've got. This team is capable of winning games. We know that. But the makings of a good manager is finding a tune with that squad that's there. If you use Unai Emery, for instance, who took over from Steven Gerrard at Aston Villa, with that squad of players who were there when Steven Gerrard was there, he couldn't get a tune out of those players. Unai Emery came in and clearly was able to do it. I know Villa aren't going through a good time at the moment, but in 2 or 3 seasons, Unai Emery has found that tune with the Aston Villa side that's there. That's the kind of energy that needs to be at Manchester United at the moment. And I'm not so sure Ruben Amorim is the man to take this United team forward. He hasn't got a lot of time left. If he does not find a good run of form by the November international break, which will come up to a year since he took over, meaning we don't get back-to-back wins, he's out the door for me. And if he goes, have an interim manager in until the end of the season, just to get that stability put back in there. Even if it means, as you say, play a boring type of football with a boring formation, with a boring system, so be it. We need to be qualifying for Europe. And if we don't get that this season, who's going to want to join Manchester United?
Yeah, it will snowball, won't it? I like this tactic, as in the potential of it. Not right now, before you launch at me. I like the idea of this tactic. It's something different. It is something that it feels like it shouldn't work, but it can do. But the problem is, it's not. And I don't mind an adventurous tactic and building a side around that tactic, but you've got to have the backup plan, even if it's 4-4-2. Just go back to basics. You've had that headline in Football Manager where it says, reluctance to change tactics costing games. That's your cue. Get the 4-4-2 out, 4-2-3-1, 4-3-3, whatever it is, whatever boring system. We just need points on the board. We need wins. We need to build confidence once again, because I can't keep doing this. I just can't. Anyway, I think we'll leave it there. We calmed down as the episode went on. Did you notice that?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm glad you noticed that, Tom. I'll leave you though, Tom, with a final thought.
Today was a day to forget. No player performed brilliantly at all. There's a team they failed, and they're going up against a Sunderland side, which, enjoying time back in the Premier League, and they'll be feeling, do you know what, we can really stick it on United. And it wouldn't surprise me if they went to Old Trafford and really stick it on us. But we've got to return with a compelling performance. I want to see a good 3 or 4-0 win. I don't think we'll get it, but sometimes a change of mentality heading into the game could be what United need, and a change of system and a change of formation. And we also need to see send Lamont in goal, because I think Bryan Diaz had his chances now. We need to see what Lamont can do in between the sticks, just so that we've got something we can build from and not build from what we've already seen from Bayern, because I think Bayern has had enough now. And Amorim, well, he's got to stop acting like this wimp on the bench. He just seems like acting like a 12-year-old kid that is just too afraid to change and too afraid to face the music. He's got to be able to face the music now, as Amorim. If he doesn't, there's no point him being there.
Well, let us know then. What's going on? Do you agree with Tom? Do you agree with me? Maybe we're both right. Maybe we're both wrong. Let us know on social media. Join the conversation. GSPN Man United. We're on Twitter and X. We're on Instagram. We're on TikTok. And we're on Facebook. You can also watch our episodes as well. So if you wanted to see our Reds really glowing red in the first half of this podcast, I'm glad to say you can. You can follow us and you've subscribed to us on YouTube. It's GSPN Daily Man United Podcast. It's such a long name, so you have to remember it. And thank you as well for listening and watching along. And we couldn't bring you these episodes without our partners at Zencastr, because here at the Global Sports Podcast Network, we spent a lot of time selecting our delivery platform, and Zencastr came out the clear winner. With 4K video recording from your phone and AI editing that can remove those ums and ahs or certain words if you really want to from the entire episode, it makes it super easy to start a podcast that sounds great and is delivered efficiently. So if you're ready to start and tell your own story, check out Zencastr in the show description below. In the meantime, try and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Fast forward the first match. We'll probably be first, knowing us, on Match of the Day. And try and enjoy your Sunday as well. We'll be back soon with a whole load of content, and I'm sure we'll be able to bring you a bit of a deep dive. We don't want to go back to it, but we feel like we're going to have to. In the meantime, take care of yourselves. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Your daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.